All right, thank you, everyone. Then so we'll move us. Roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll start with Chair Bowman,
Present.
Vice Chair Messing, Councilmember Beininger,
Here.
Councilmember Ritchie, Councilmember Malay, Councilmember Perry,
Present.
Councilmember Morton.
Present.
Let the record show we have the following staff in attendance. We have City Manager Albert Tripp, City Attorney Daniel Gibbons, Acting Public Works Director Dennis Fuller. We have Principal Planner Hatta Jarman, Associate Planner Zachary Becker, and Clerk Treasurer Stanley Schubert. That concludes the roll call.
All right, council, what we'd like to do about the member.
Mr. Ritchie is signing on as we speak.
Mr. Ritchie. Second, any further questions or comments? All those in favor of excusing the absence of Ms. Clay? I got 4. Mr. Ritchie, are you on? Okay.
Sorry, I
All right.
logged into the wrong meeting.
It's all right. That passed unanimously. All right. Any changes to tonight's agenda other than the presentation being moved forward?
No proposed changes.
Okay. Yeah, we're just moving that immediate presentation forward to next week. Have a motion, second, any questions or comments? Not seeing any, all those in favor? All right, that passed unanimously. That'll move us on to council reports. None, I don't have any either. That'll move us on to staff reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll start with Manager Tripp. Do you have any report for council?
Just a couple items. First off, Cheney Public Schools, following a successful bond measure, is looking for council members who would like to serve on a bond advisory team. I'll forward you a message from the school district on this, but if you consider it and let me know if you'd like to participate, I can get it back to the Cheney Public Schools to let them know of your interest. Secondly, I had a chance to visit with our city lobbyists who reported as the session gets underway and the state is projecting to have a revenue shortfall, that it might be of value to visit with the delegation and to just advocate for the projects that the city has on the list, namely the next phase of the city service campus. And so I was planning to block out some time to go over flyover for a day and visit with the delegation. If any of the council members would like to join during that particular meeting, just let me know. I see interest from the chair. If anyone else would like to join, let me know. And we'll probably likely fly over that same day and just fly back after the appointments are made with.
Go on.
I'll coordinate with you afterwards, looking tentatively around perhaps that February 3rd week.
Okay.
And then my last one is that the collective bargaining ad hoc committee is looking to meet this week. I think Councilmember Morton, Councilmember Beininger has indicated the 23rd, I believe, of the 2 dates that work for them. And so I'll just close the loop with Councilmember Ritchie to verify which date works for him, and then we'll get it on the schedule and then meet this week. And that concludes my report. 5:30, if that works for the group. Kevin, you said that works for you as well, those 2 days? Okay, perfect. We'll send out an invite then. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. Mr. Gibbons, any report for council?
No report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fuller, any report for council? Thank you. Ms. Troutman, any report for council?
Thank you. Just one short report. We have begun doing our citizen advisory committee for the climate resiliency planning. And we're also moving on to our next meeting with the technical advisory group. So we're having in-person meetings this week to discuss what you've seen as the council, which is our likely climate risks. And we're moving on to looking at our risk factors and assessment. So just want to let you know that we're out there engaging the community. We do have a survey that we're asking people to fill out, and we'll send you the QR code if you'd be happy to share that so we can get people's perspective and where we're at with regards to climate change. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Troutman. Mr. Becker, any report for council? Thank you, and no report for me. It concludes staff reports.
All right, well, that'll bring us to public hearings. Item A is going to be a public hearing on ordinance C-1066, repeal of Airway Heights Municipal Code 14.07 and adopting a new chapter 14.07 and a ordinance C-1067 repeal of Airway Heights Municipal Code 1.16 and adopting a new chapter 1.1. So that being said, we're going to head and open up public hearing at 5:36 PM. Ms. Troutman, it's all yours to brief on these two items.
Thank you very much. This was actually briefed last week as well as a month ago with regards to the intent to update our municipal code to reflect new code enforcement procedures for the city. This is predominantly involved in repealing the existing chapter 14.07 and replacing it with a new chapter that specifically identifies how we do a notice of correction, which is an advisory letter that we are aware that there may be an issue. We're inviting them to come speak to us, an actual notice of violation, identifying what provisions of the code may be in conflict with what's occurring on a site, how we go about a voluntary compliance agreement, as well as timelines and who within the city is acting on behalf of the departments for code compliance, which can include a variety from the police, building, planning, as well as public works. The second ordinance is repealing 1.16 and replacing it with a new chapter 1.16 that adopts new penalties associated with non-compliance. And again, our focus is voluntary compliance. So this is only if all attempts to resolve a matter, and these are predominantly development standard based. These are not criminal types of cases. Those would be still handled by the police department through the appropriate mechanisms that they have available to them. But this would be what we would do in the case of residential, like householder related issues on a single family lot with regards to non-compliance, like a fence that's too tall, would be treated very differently than a commercial situation, building or site in which there's been activity without permits, for example, to go do grading, doing building without permits, or utilizing a property in a way that is inconsistent with zoning. So we are asking for the council to consider repealing and adopting both of these ordinances in order to have new standards and new process for code compliance for development codes in the city of Airway Heights. I'm available for any questions from the council. Thank you.
Anybody at this time from the public who would like to address these matters, please do so now. If you're online, just raise your hand and I'll call upon you, state your address, name, and then go ahead. Opinions, discussions, or whatnot at that time. I am not seeing anybody online though. Does council have anything else regarding this matter? Not seeing any. All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 5:39 PM. That. Yeah, I seen that Veronica was on and you got that, Stanley, correct? Okay,
Correct.
go ahead, Ms. Troutman.
Just a clarification that first reading today, reading into the record for the ordinance, and then how the council desires to move forward with the ordinances, both of them. Stanley, I believe, needs to read the ordinances into the record.
Okay, is that also a part of, it's not a part of the item O, correct?
Correct, that's a different ordinance.
Okay, so go ahead with the first reading. of
Well,
that.
I have to find them first. They were not on the agenda, so I'll locate them and maybe we can
Mhm.
read them into a record when we get to item O.
In addition to item O.
Yes,
So we'll add it on to the action items.
correct.
Okay, council, are you okay with that?
Thank you.
We don't need to bring a motion for that. Or should we? All right, council, if I can get somebody to bring a motion to also add these additional items to the agenda It'll be Airway Heights Municipal Code changes for 1066 and 1067 for a repeal and a rewrite for those two chapters as mentioned.
So moved.
All right, motion have a second. Any questions or comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Ms. Messing? Couldn't hear you. Okay. All right, we're good. That passed unanimously. All right, that'll move us on to a very long consent agenda here. So I will get through this. Consent agenda, item B1 is the approval of minutes from January 6, 2025. Item B2 is approval of minutes for January 13, 2025. Item B3 is a purchase approval registry for Payne Hamlin, a total of $35,338.00. Item C is going to be a WC3 contract amendment number 9. It's for West Code Consultants Incorporated, Amendment 9 to the existing contract to continue plan review and backup building services on an on-call basis. Item D is going to be 6th Avenue Project Change Order number 1. Item E is a 10th Avenue Corridor Extension Project Change Order number 5. Item F is a 10th Avenue Corridor Extension Project Change Order number 4. Item G is the 10th Avenue Corridor Extension Change Order number 6. Item H is work order for ADA transition plan for the CWEC to complete the ADA transition plan. Item I is the Southside Lift Station Project Change Order number 1. Item J is the Southside Lift Station Project Change Order number 2. And item K is going to be Federal Raise Grant Application Submission. This is for seeking to construct Phase 1 improvements to the US 2 designs. Council, what would you like to do about the consent agenda? All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Any questions or comments? Go ahead, sir.
Chair, I wanted to just briefly reflect on the latter item. It's the K of your consent agenda.
Yep.
And just to give you a little bit more context on that. So this is our first opportunity applying for a raise grant on behalf of the city. This would advance forward a priority that the city council has identified, which is improving the safety, beautification, and the use of US 2. But I just also wanted to make you aware of the implications of it as well, because in saying yes to this, it also means a local match, which means saying no to something else. If opportunities we might not be able to take advantage of due to the commitment. So the overall grant's about $19 million, of which $3 million would be of a local match. And the source of fund for the local match is the Transportation Benefit District, which is designed, as the voters approve, to be able to reconstruct roadways, of which this roadway is a part of that plan. The other two portions of the match is the $500,000 from each. This would leave approximately just a little over $500,000 in each one of the REITs, and it would leave approximately $1.5 million in the Transportation Benefit District. As we mentioned in the briefing paper, if successful, this could start construction as early as July 27 from the Lawson, I think, into the Lundstrom phase, or with this particular priority that you've identified as a council.
As to this, are you,
No, not necessarily. It's just that after tonight, if you say yes to this, there could be other funding opportunities, you know, be it from SRTC or the state or something like that, that would advance some of the other projects on the 6-year transportation plan. At some point, we would just bump up against capacity to say yes to some of those other opportunities.
what's your recommendation?
I would still recommend, to the council to pursue this because I know that you've identified as a priority and changing the look of that. It just might mean saying no to something else. So I just wanted to be aware of it, that's all.
Yeah, and I know with this, I mean, been working on the beautification project since I was on the planning commission, 10, 11 years ago. So I mean, it's been, you know, we've always wondered how we were going to fund certain projects, especially, you know, something of that magnitude along that corridor. And any opportunities that we can get, you know, such as this, I mean, it's going to provide, you know, traffic mitigation. It's going to do a lot for the safety of the roadways, especially with how many deaths we've had along Highway 2. It's going to kind of beef up those intersections that, I mean, right now it's pretty minimal between Lawson and, you know, where Mr. Tripp just had mentioned, but at the same time, you know, it's the start of the entire corridor project.
Well, on the surface, it seems like a good deal, you know. I give you 19 million, you give me 3 million.
Great.
But if it's is it gonna cause a real hardship for the city to come up?
No, we're projecting through the timeframe in terms of executing on the grant. The source of funds would be in there naturally to collect from. But I should note, and Heather can speak to this as well, this is super competitive in terms of national. It's a national federal grant. The Valley, I think, was a more recent recipient, maybe or 23, to advance their rail crossing project. But part of the reason the match is as high as it is to make it competitive and stand out among some of the other funders or some of the other applicants that put applications in.
I just want to take a couple moments to reflect on where we've been and where we're going. So when Zach and I started with city council 5 years ago, the first thing that the council had told us is that they wanted to see things happen and not to focus so much on plans, but they wanted to see a dramatic and significant change to the face of the city, and that included specifically US2. This application is a culmination of not just the last 5 years, but really the last 10 years of very careful and strategic steps that the city has taken to move this project forward. Everything from the 2017 US2 corridor plan, the 2 comprehensive plan, the downtown plan, as well as participating in the WashDOT West Plains Sub-area plan design. It was very carefully crafted when we went after and were successful in getting nearly $3 million of design funds to make this project shovel ready between US2 and Longstrom for US2. This project is as close as we're ever going to get, in my opinion, to a federal application because we have the design, we have the ability to move forward because we do have seed money from the state of Washington. We were successful to receive $850,000 of state Sandy Williams Reconnected Community Funds. And we were recently notified that we are on the list of recommended funding for the next round of Sandy Williams Reconstructing Communities construction funding for $2 million this year. By adding this additional money committed by the city from our taxpayer supported transportation benefit district and the REIT 1 and 2, we potentially put ourselves in a more competitive position with other communities with regards to showing the federal agency how serious we are about this project because of all of these steps we have taken to position ourselves for this project. I'm going to echo with Albert. This is an extremely competitive application process. We will be competing against other communities within this county. It will take additional steps beyond this commitment by the council in order to continue to push for this project, but it would be transformative. It would be literally building the steps in order to have a place where we hear that people want the community to stop and see Airway Heights rather than passing through, to realize a downtown as part of this construction project. So I would encourage the council to consider this. If we do not get the RAISE grant, that money is not spent. It's still available for other opportunities. It's not taking any money away from any project today that's been earmarked for those dollars, but it would certainly lift the city. It would lift the businesses. It would lift the community if we were able to receive this grant and realize the vision of the city for a downtown. You know me, I have plan A, B, and C.
That's
So,
why I'm asking the question.
yep. So we are continuously applying for grant applications to help make this project be realized. And as Chair Bowman indicated, this is part of a multi-phase project from Craig to Garfield. In the last 12 months, we have successfully received $4.5 million in federal and state funding in order to build the roundabout at Garfield and US2. We will continue to apply for state funds in order to fund this first priority between Lawson and Lundstrom for the downtown area. But to be honest, for the type of dollars that it takes in order to construct this. This is a $19 million project. We do need to continue to look after federal funds, which means that we need to not only think about the commitment we make to this project, but we also need to do a number of steps in order to make sure that the state and the federal legislative representatives are aware of how important this project is for our community for all of the reasons stated, which includes the increasing issues of safety along US 2, congestion management, its ability to serve Fairchild, as well as a community that's been designated federally as a historically disadvantaged community, and how this can lift us all.
And the one thing that, I'll piggyback on those two as well is, any council member that's been, around or on, for third term or beyond, has wanted to see this project, move forward for so long. We talked about it for years and years. And again, I spent 3 years on the planning commission before, I think I'm going into my 9th year on council now. So this project's been going on for, almost 12 years within the city. And we talked and talked and talked about it. And I know Kevin could probably, speak to this as well. About 7 or 8 years ago, we said, we want action. We want this to move forward. We have talked about it so much till we are blue in the face about our Highway 2 corridor and the improvements that we can bring to that area and make this place a true destination point. And that was the goal a long time ago when we were doing some of our retreats and whatnot. And this is an incredible opportunity to get a huge dollar amount, potentially, and to move some of these projects. And I really look forward to seeing the changes occur, but this could make them occur very quickly. And I really want to emphasize that this is a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And I know we've gone through a lot, even beyond that with COVID, with the water crisis and whatnot. We've had to reprioritize, here and there. But this has always been something that I believe that the council, the city, and our constituents have always wanted. So I think that it's important to go after these. And even if we get awarded the grant, we still got to approve it up here. So it'll come back to us multiple times. All right, I have a motion, I have a second. Any further questions or comments on this? No, all right, all those in favor? All right, that passed unanimously. So consent agenda is good. Action items. Item L is going to be the appointment of the city council committee and board representatives. Good, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Chair and council, this is a annual update of the committee assignments for the council members. Two things I wanted to draw your attention to. First, foremost is a conversation you had last week concerning Public Works Ad Hoc Committee representation. I know that Councilmember Beinecker served on the Public Works Committee this past Thursday as opposed to Councilmember Perry. I wasn't sure if that was something you wanted to do on an ongoing basis, and so I didn't make that change, but I'd encourage you to discuss that this evening. And then lastly, on the second page, there is a reference to Greater Spokane Incorporated. You'll see there's a strike through that. The Greater Spokane Incorporated was an area that was struck from the budget as an effort to try to balance last year's budget. And so that's why you see the strike through on that. Having said that, that doesn't preclude the council still to be involved within that. But in terms of like having a formal ex officio seat, I believe that comes with the city also maintaining the subscription or the membership to the organization. Apart from that, I will pause for any questions or discussion the council has on this.
I know we kind of talked about this previously, but is there any board that any member currently here that they're on that they wish to not be on anymore? Or if there's something else that kind of piques interest of being on a different committee or representative of the different boards within, that the city represents the citizens on, at this time, just let us know. I mean, we got the big one out of the way with the reappointment for the STA board. That's always,
But the Public Works, Gavin just stepped down temporarily. I didn't have any ambition to serve on.
Well, and with that being said, we've had, you took over the RAP board for me, the Restoration Advisory Board, for our water issues, and, you got heavily invested in that, piqued your interest and, asked and it was done type of deal. So I think the council members are really good with, identifying what piques their interest and everything else throughout our time annually as well. And if there's any changes, it can be brought forward at any time. So this isn't just a one and done, you're stuck with it for the whole year, type of deal. So with that being said, does anybody have anything that they would like to change or anything else? Or are we all good? All right, well, at this time, Mr. Tripp, we don't have any changes to the committee or boards. And I don't see Dave here to speak to any of his, so. And yeah, and I'll reach out to Dave too and just let him know, hey, if there's,
That's when you assign him to more stuff.
yeah, we'll just put him on
Not
everything we
here.
don't want to be on, right? That's what we do. Okay, so that'll move forward as is. We don't need to take action on that, or should we take action on keeping them the same?
I would suggest making a motion to maintain the list.
Okay. Have a motion? Second, all those in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. Then move us on to item N, professional service agreement with HERE grant implementation. Mr. Tripp, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair and Council, just by way of background, this proposed agreement before you is a part of the implementation of the HERE grant. You might recall that earlier last year, we started seeking a project manager position to not only execute and implement on the HERE grant, which is a pot of funds awarded by Department of Commerce to the city, a little over $500,000, which both pays for position and also pays for the rebate program. But we also sought the assistance of GMP consultants to help the city secure someone who was qualified for the position. To date, we have one candidate. We're actually scheduled to interview this candidate Thursday of this week. The initial indications, if we receive no other candidates, which I hope we do, so that we can actually have choices. But if we do not, this particular candidate can't start until I think it's April or May of this year. But in the meantime, we're still charged and responsible with implementing the HERE grant. And so what we're trying to do is find a way to move forward with implementation of this grant, and thus the professional service agreement you see before you. It becomes a means to implement the grant while we get that position filled and then pick up the remaining pieces and work with those. As I noted within the briefing sheet, the cost of the agreement itself, the cost of providing that service or performing the service, it's $40,000, and that's also paid through the grant itself.
Okay, Council, what would we like to do about item M?
Move to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Any further questions or comments for Mr. Tripp? All those in favor? That passed unanimously. That'll move us on to item N, consideration for reappointment of expiring public commission members. Mr. Becker, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Tonight, we are requesting reappointment for two separate commission members, Pleasance Jones, the Planning Commission, and Michaela Daniels of the Arts Commission. Both of their terms will be expiring on January 31st of this month, so we are just requesting reappointments for both of them.
All right, Council, what would we like to do? Second, any questions or comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you for their service and what they did.
Will do. They've both been fantastic, and we're really glad to keep them on the commissions. I know, right?
Well, yeah, and I know Pleasant, she took her time. Like, she was in quite a bit and she still attends,
Yeah.
a lot of our meetings that she doesn't have to, and she showed a lot of initiative and effort. So,
Yeah, no, she's been doing great. We do have an application for our vacancy on the Arts Commission. We'll be bringing it to you soon, as well as either one or two applications for the Planning Commission to fill that vacancy. So we'll be speaking about this more in a little bit.
okay.
Thank you.
Becker. All right, moving on to ordinances. We do have a couple here. And then item O, we are not requesting the first reading, passing on that item, correct? Or is this another one of those items that we are?
Actually, item O, we were going to request council suspend its rules, pass it on the first reading.
Okay, so all three of the next items are going to be approved potentially this evening.
No, we were just proposing to limit it to item O because of the nature of the solution we're trying to get in place.
Okay, and we weren't, that's what I'm trying to pack down here. With the other two items that we actually moved into it, I thought we had discussed that, passing those items as well on a first read.
Yes, that was our discussion at the beginning, when we went through the items, was to add these two to that and to suspend the rules. Otherwise, today would have been a first reading rather than a public hearing.
Okay, and then do we have those to read record?
Yes, all three ordinances are in front of me.
Okay, so if I can get a suspension of the rules right now, or a motion to suspend the rules, and then we'll go ahead and read all three into the record, and then we'll pass a motion for each separately at that point.
Moved.
All right, motion to suspend the rules, have a motion, have a second. All those in favor? All right, that passed unanimously. The rules have been suspended for passing ordinances on our first read. That'll move us directly into item O, which is first reading of ordinance C-1068, amending Airway Heights Municipal Code 13.06.1530. Stanley, if I could get you to read that in the record, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is ordinance number C-1068, first reading. An ordinance of the City of Airway Heights, Washington, amending section 13.06.1530 of the Airway Heights Municipal Code entitled Rates and Regulations and other matters probably related thereto. Yes, it's
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair and Council, the amendment you have before you, ordinance C-1068, which amends 1306.1530. It follows a council meeting that you had last Monday in which you heard feedback from two business owners or two business representatives within the community about city's pre-treatment standards. And it also follows a consultation the Public Works Committee had on Thursday last week. Following that discussion from those particular business owners, very rapidly to talk about the concerns and talk about different ideas and approaches to how they might be mitigated. Having said that, Dennis Fuller was super creative in developing a path forward. So I'm going to ask him to speak to the proposed amendment that is before you tonight and perhaps talk about how it helps address those concerns.
Floor is yours, sir.
So basically, the amendment does not really change the ordinance or the intent of the ordinance. The intent of the ordinance was to surcharge individual discharges into our system to offset additional costs at the treatment plant for treating high-strength wastewater. That intent stays the same. Actually, the intent, the cost for those stays the same within the ordinance. So we're passing along costs that we're incurring at the wastewater treatment plant for additional treatment of strength wastewater. This ordinance change only allows us the flexibility to charge high wastewater strength based on loading rather than concentration. And really the table within the ordinance is based on loading. It's just simplified to show a concentration so that you can read off of a lab test concentration and apply the ordinance. All this does is allows us to do the calculation of the loading to the plant of the high strength discharge and apply the same rate to that loading as we would through the regular ordinance. So it's just providing us flexibility to enforce the ordinance in a more equitable way.
Hey, we have a member of the community, a business. Higher quantities are, their strength, is can't dilute these pollutants. That's something that we talked about and discussed during our meeting, the other. But this allows us to be able to not just identify those that are, susceptible for produced high limits, but we can pinpoint it down to, and how much they're actually getting rid of, correct? And with this table. And that's basically the only change that we have tonight is we're allowing, it to get down to the nuts and bolts of how we charge.
That's correct. I mean, the current ordinance is based on water use, and that works about 95% of the time. However, some of these dischargers are discharging considerably less sewer than they are taking in water. So this adjustment allows for an actual charge based on sewer flow, not water demand. So.
Definitely, more fair and equitable also to the business owners and
Correct.
just give us another opportunity to, the business community know that we're doing whatever we can for them. Motion.
There questions?
No?
I had a question. Since it was quite a lengthy presentation last week, I assume, has this been briefed to the two businesses? Would this satisfy their concerns? Are we going to hear back from them or?
Yeah, we didn't make any promises because we want the council to adopt this ordinance. But once it's adopted, I will call in both the dischargers and lay out the program and explain to them how it can be used. So.
We're confident this will solve the problem or quell their concerns enough or?
Well, certainly they're still going to have to invest in pretreatment and a flow meter for the sewer, but I think both of them are headed down a path for pretreatment. This allows just a more equitable way of applying the ordinance.
All right, so I have a motion. Second, any further questions or comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor? All right, that passed unanimously on the first read. That'll move us on to ordinance C-1066, the repeal of 14.07 and adopting the new chapter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is ordinance number C-1066. First reading an ordinance of the City of Airway Heights, Washington, repealing and replacing chapter 14.07 of the Airway Heights Municipal Code entitled Enforcement and other matters probably related thereto. This was the ordinance that was in the public hearing earlier in the meeting today. So I think everything has been said.
Absolutely. And thank you for briefing on that earlier. By the way, council, what would we like to do about ordinance C-1066, the repeal of Airway Heights Municipal Code 14.07 and adopting the new chapter? I have a
Move to
motion.
approve.
Motion, do I have a second? I have a second. Any questions or comments? And all those in favor? All right, that passed unanimously. That'll move us on to our last item, ordinance C-1067, repeal of Airway Heights Municipal Code 1-16 and adopting the new chapter 1-16 as presented earlier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is ordinance number C-1067. Our first reading, an ordinance of the City of Airway Heights, Washington, repealing and replacing chapter 1.16 of the Airway Heights Municipal Code entitled General Penalty and other matters probably related thereto. As mentioned, this was briefed earlier in the public hearing.
Move to approve.
A motion, do you have a second? I have a second. All right, I have a second. Any questions or comments on that?
Was it?
That was the motion, then. Further questions? All those in favor? All right, that passed unanimously. I don't see anybody in attendance online or in person for citizen comments. We have no resolutions, no call for workshop. We are going to have an executive session this evening. And I'll hand the floor off to you, Mr. Gibbons, for time and purpose.
Purpose of the executive session will be to discuss performance of a public employee. I'd estimate 30 minutes, and I don't anticipate any further action afterwards, so it would be appropriate for the council to adjourn at that time.
All right, at this time, we will go ahead and enter into our executive session until 6:40. And at that time, when we reconvene, we will go ahead and adjourn at that time. So everybody is free to go.
I think we were set up to go downstairs.
I can turn it off down there if they want to stay here. I set it up in the conference room down there, but I can turn that off. Also, I'll turn
Everybody
it
else
off.
can go. Everybody else can go home. You're excused.
Also, real quickly too, I noticed this after I sent the calendar invite, but the 23rd for the collective bargaining ad hoc committee meeting, I've sent that out to Kevin, Hank, and Jennifer. Inadvertently overlooked that somebody decided to give me an award on the same night, so I'm scheduled to be somewhere else. So I'll try to Stanley and Brad to prep and have that ready for the committee to review my absence.